A Face from Sudan, Where Heritage Speaks Through Scars, 1960. The markings were once believed to protect against malaria, but they also spoke of identity, tribe, strength, and belonging. Steve McQueen and Suzanne Plachette, 1966. A man sells goldfish in bags of water tied to tree branches. Beirut, Lebanon, 1983. Here's musician Fred Lemire playing the world record world's largest banjo. Miners in Serra Pelada, Brazil, 1986. It was the largest open mine in the world, and it's estimated 100,000 miners worked there at its peak in 1983. Steve Martin. Some weird tanks from World War II. Transporting a circus elephant circa 1930s. American soldiers care for a Filipino infant. Philippines, November 1944. NASA scientists and their famous calculating board, 1961. Walt Disney introduces each of the 7 dwarfs in a scene from the original 1937 Snow White theatrical trailer. Horse-drawn fire engine. Trenches to shelter the population in case of a Soviet air raid. Finland, autumn 1939. Unicyclists performing circa 1950. Christopher Walken in the 70s. Monica Bellucci, still from a photoshoot for the Italian magazine King, February 1992. A girl blows a bubble of chewing gum, 1946. Lily Christine, 1950s. Dutch Sinterklaas and his assistant Black Pete rush to congratulate, 1947. Chainbridge, China, 1930s. Young Dutch men pose with a girl who maintained ties with the Germans. The girl's hair has been cut off and her face is smeared with tar. Amsterdam, May 1945. San Diego police pursue an M60 tank stolen from a California National Guard armory in May 1995. Demonstration of the Cantilever Bridge Principle, 1885. An advertisement for new customers of a telephone company in England. A man rides a bicycle and his stroller is a giant telephone, 1930. P-47, Thunderbolt Daddy Rabbit with an impressive collection of mission symbols, flown by Captain Neil D. Stanley of 391st Fighter Squadron, 366th, Fighter Group 9th Air Force in the European Theatre of Operations, around 1945, a German soldier frozen to death near a field kitchen near Moscow, winter 1941 to 1942. North Carolina, Pizza Hut, Fayetteville, 1950s. Alain Delon with his four-legged friend, 1970, France. Marilyn Monroe, 1946. The Statue of Liberty stands amid debris on Bedloes Island in New York Harbor on March 5, 1948. Congressmen asked the House Appropriations Committee to appropriate $1 million to clear the island's slums. Ava Marie Saint, American actress, 1954. Walk, USSR, 1960s. The Princess and Prince of Wales with William in front of St Mary's Hospital in 1982. Auction and sale of the property of deported Jews in Lörrach, South Baden, Third Reich, November 1940. Police officer Frederick Godwin of Gypsy Hill. Police station South London gives a cup of tea to a man left homeless after a German V-1 rocket fell on his home, 1944. A tightrope walker balances with cups on his head. Big Chief Root Beer Stand, 1933, Kansas City. Pablo Escobar in the early 1960s. Civilians celebrating the removal of the Vladimir Lenin statue after the overthrow of the Marxist-Leninist government in Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa, 1991. June Wilkinson balancing two champagne glasses, 1960. Here's a little girl giving her dolls haircuts in a completely not terrifying at all way. Bill Murray, 1970s. The 1984 Seiko UC 3000 was one of the first smartwatches in history. Tattooed Circus Family, 1965. Celebration of Queen Elizabeth II's 40th birthday in the House of Lords, April 21st, 1966. Aerial stunt of the 1920s Barnstormer. (1995) Redenomination in Poland, 1 new zloty instead of 10,000 old ones. (1917) Women's Battalion Petrograd. Gangster machine gun in a violin case, 1928. The Signal Hill oil field fire in Southern California, 1931. Three chimpanzees on a bicycle. One of the biggest fads of the 1950s was phone booth stuffing, wherein a bunch of people would, well, stuff themselves into a phone booth. A pilot of an American B-26 Marauder bomber in the cockpit of his aircraft. 47 stylized bombs are painted near the cockpit, indicating the number of combat sorties and 4 decoys for false sorties, simulating B-17 bombers. World War II. A young Maori woman with traditional tattoos, moko, on the lips and chin, circa 1860 to 1879, Workers at the cables of the Brooklyn Bridge, 1915. Young Hillary Clinton. This is the means of protecting a mental patient in a British lunatic asylum in the 1950s. Jane Russell, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, 1953. Molotov and German Foreign Minister J. von Ribbentrop inspect the guard at Anhalter Station in Berlin, November 13, 1940. This is an old 1935 photo that was a set-up photo for an amusement park, Happy Hollow, in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Tourists could take a picture here in this setup. It's not a real bar for sure, but it is real cool looking. The captain of the USS Donner, a helicopter carrier performing rescue duties, greets Ham's first astrochimp after completing its flight on January 31st, 1961. A tribal woman shows off the scarification done to her in Belgian Congo in 1935. Ramstein 1995. Male and female fighters during the Arab Revolt in Palestine in 1936. Venice, 1940, in Europe leading into World War II. Burlesque Queen Betty Howard, known as the Girl Who Has Everything in 1947. Liberated Soviet and Polish disabled prisoners from the Mauthausen concentration camp, Austria, May 1945. Conjoined twins Violet and Daisy Hilton in the mid-1920s, when Violet was briefly engaged to musician Maurice Lambert. Gaston Rebuffat en Aiguille de Roc, Mont Blanc Massif, France, 1944. Armoured personnel carriers in central Vilnius during the Singing Revolution, Lithuania, mid-January 1991. Riot on a Detroit street, 1967. Sophia Loren holds Charlton Heston's sword to cut the cake while in the wrap-up party from the filming of El Cid, 1961. Bulgarian girls with portraits of Tsar Boris III of Bulgaria and Adolf Hitler, 1941. Hitler with Goebbels and Hans Frank at the Berghof, waiting for news of the Molotov and Ribbentrop Pact to be accepted by Stalin and signed. Photographed by Eva Braun, 23 August 1939. Ham the space chimpanzee strapped and ready to go on his mission, he survived. January 1st, 1961. Marlene Dietrich entertaining soldiers on the front lines of World War II, 1944. December 5th, 1975. The Indonesian consulate in Amsterdam was seized by terrorists. They forced one of the hostages onto the balcony. Hitler, on holiday in Obersalzberg, signing autographs to young boys. Madonna. Stalin third from left with a group of Bolshevik revolutionaries in Turukhansk, Russian Empire, 1915. The Rolling Stones, 1968. The Ladies of Crazy Horse, more than half a century ago. A rare photo of Adolf Hitler in his white uniform greeting Italian officials, August 1939. Marilyn Monroe at the beach in California, 1948. The 11th Battalion, Western Australia, 3rd Infantry Brigade, 1st Australian Division, posted on the steps of the Great Pyramid of Giza, 10 January 1915. Underwater alligator race. A soldier of the Wehrmacht's Afrika Korps takes a selfie through the rearview mirror, 1942. Steve Jobs and Wozniak computer presentation. Here are a bunch of soldiers posing like little schoolchildren while another soldier jumps them. Ralph Madsen, known as the tallest cowboy in Texas, stood over 7 feet 6 inches tall and weighed 228 pounds. Early 90s Japan, a young computer developer shows off his concept for Solid Snake for a new release Metal Gear. Wehrmacht soldiers and papal guards, 1943 Vatican. A mobile beauty salon owner serves a client in London circa 1930. Violet Jones and Joan Lee, two gay women in 1954 who falsified their statements in order to legally get married, also known as lying about being the same gender. They were later fined £25 each. President Warren G. Harding's pet Pete grabs a snack from an unidentified White House visitor, 1922. Puppeteers with the Alien Queen from the film Aliens from 1986. A boxer in a sweater and cap doing his duty somewhere at a railway station, May 1966. Noble Mongolian women, Mongolia, 1900s. In this image, taken in London in 1940, people are lining up to use a mobile laundry. Essentially, they are carrying their dirty clothes to be washed in a laundromat running out of a car. Marilyn Monroe and a Turkey, 1950. Here's a bunch of way too calm people about to be jumped by a very intense man on a motorcycle. Use female waiters as human menus, New York City restaurant in 1968. Young Stephen Hawking, 1978. The remains of the royal family in Yekaterinburg, 1998. British paratroopers retrieve folding well-bike motorcycles from a container during training. The motorcycle fit into a cylindrical container with a diameter of 38 centimetres. It could be assembled and started in 15 seconds. England, 1943. Muhammad Ali eating a sandwich in Newcastle, United Kingdom in July 1977. (1937). Dr. Thornwell Jacobs is preparing items to be included in a huge time capsule he founded, titled The Crypt of Civilization. The time capsule is still buried as we speak, and won't be opened until the year 8113. Kids playing Push the Peanut in London, 1938. A strong man performing in a circus. A strong man holds a baby elephant on his shoulders. A B-24 Liberator of the 464th Bomb Group bracketed by flak bursts from German anti-aircraft guns in November 1944. Steve Jobs with daughter Lisa, 1987. Clark Gable and Marilyn Monroe rehearse on the set of The Misfits, 1960. Red Army soldiers on the street of Viborg, 1940. Boy and Girl in a Small Car, 1930s. A Comanche woman and her son in a cradleboard, sometime between 1907 and 1930. Jean-Marie Le Pen and Brigitte Bardot are visiting wounded soldiers in a hospital, France. May 13th, 1955. Elise L. Knotts, 1916, Don Knotts' mother. Prototype for protective gear for World War I back in 1917 in the United Kingdom. First ever basketball team. 1926. Berlin. People brought their dogs to be euthanized because they couldn't afford the increased pet tax. Fidel Castro takes Soviet children for a ride through the streets of Moscow, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, January 14, 1964.